This section is really outside of everything else. I'm gonna explain to you why you need to know all of this information. Because if you don't know all of these foundational pieces of information, you're not gonna be able to accomplish the goal that you're going for, okay? And I'm gonna show you how I got to 23 units by the age of 23. And I'm gonna put it up on this board, but you need all parts of the foundation. So don't feel like, oh, I wanna skip this part. You need to understand all these parts so you can maximize every single part of your foundational items so you can continue to grow and scale. So in 2005, roughly, I had about $32,000 saved up. I'm gonna show you how I churned $32,000 into about $3 million in assets. I was 19 years old and at $32,000. I found the first place. My first place, I loved it, I fell in love. The problem was I fell in love, I shouldn't have fallen in love, I overpaid on the property. But it doesn't matter because in real estate, you can make mistakes. In the long term, it'll work itself out. 143, okay. I put down 20%. That was roughly $28,000 plus about $4,000 in closing cost. All right, this is down $32,000. I used up almost all my money. Now, why they let me do that is because I said I still had some money in my 401k, I still had some like coins, I still had other assets because normally they don't let you get rid of all of your money on a deal. But I did it, they let me do it because I still had other assets, other places. So I bought this property, the property was generating roughly like $1,000 a month. This $1,000 was both units combined. It was $500 per 2-bedroom, 1-bath. My mortgage was like, I'm gonna say, I think it was like $700, and then the taxes and insurance was about $200. So I made about $100 a month on this property. Not a lot of money. Again, I was working on building wealth. I then probably spent another about $10,000 between painting, fixing the septic system, doing all the stuff, blah, 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 blah. I was able to raise the rent about $650, so it was about $625 each side. So the new rent was $1,300. Same $700, same $200, right? So now I got an additional $300. I was making $400 a month on this property. The $300 difference, the $300 difference increased the property value because how rental properties work is off of income, the property value. Now, below 1 to 4 units, you can be capped by your neighborhood. So even though you can make a ton of money, they're not gonna give you over a certain ceiling of value. Once you go into commercial and you're into like a 100-unit complex, then the ceiling doesn't play in as much. You can build way more equity. So back to this, roughly, if it was a 5 cap property, it would have brought up the property to $60,000. It would have went up. $300 a month on a 5 cap property roughly brings up the sale price $60,000. This was not a 5 cap property. Back in 2005, you can sell properties at 10 caps. So really, it only went up $30,000. But today, it's more common to find things in 5 caps. So if I held on, I would even need another $30,000 off of this one move I made 10 years prior. To the point, what really happened is I increased the property value $30,000. I didn't do a refinance, I just got a line of credit. So the bank gave me $22,000 back. I now had $22,000. This is deal 1. I'm gonna then show you deal 2. As you saw a second ago, I put down 20%. I didn't have to put down 20%. I could have only put down 3.5. But by putting down 20%, I avoided PMI and I got a lower interest rate. So I made the cash flow work better. Again, like I mentioned, I overpaid on the property. So putting down 20% made the cash flow work. I didn't need the income for both units because I was gonna live in one side. So my income was helping cover the property and I only needed to use the income from one of the units. So half of this duplex, even though that you could say hypothetically, Pascal, you can't afford that property with the money you were making. You were only making like at that point $10 an hour. How did you afford the property? Well, again, I was gonna live in one side and this side was paying $500 a month. The bank's roughly gonna give you 75% of this income. So times 12, 6,000. So the bank will give you a credit of 75% of this income. So that's roughly $4,500. So they give me an additional $4,500 towards what I was making, towards my ability to afford this, towards the ability to repay. That made it easier for me to qualify. Now, After I lived in here for about a year. I found another duplex to buy. This other duplex was about $164,000. And at this time, this is like 06, ish got crazy in the lending world. I mean, you could do some ridiculous stuff in the lending world. So at this time, they let me get a loan with only 3.5% down on my second deal. It was owner occupied. So I put down about $8K. This deal cost me about $8K. Remember, I had $22,000 that I had saved up. Plus I was saving most of my money that I was working. So I was making in the year $24,000. I was saving like 75% of my money. So let's just say $15,000 a year I was saving. And then on top of that, I was making like $200 a month. So another $2,400 for my rental. So this is how much I had in the year, roughly 5, 7, 9.4. And then I had so I only used $8K out of this for this deal. Now, it was bringing in roughly like $800 a month, $700 a month. I increased the rents a little bit, not much, $850. But why did I say my first deal sucked? Because this deal, I was smarter. I learned more. I studied my market even better. I wasn't falling in love. The other deal, I paid $140 a square foot. On this deal, I only paid like $90 a square foot. 6 months in, I went and got a line of credit, home equity line of credit. They gave me $40,000. When I increased rents, I really didn't do anything to the property. I barely spent any money on it. Maybe I spent $2,000. I netted $30,000 over what I had in this deal. So now I had a loan for like $152 and I had a loan for $42K actually. They gave me $42K. I remember now. I now spent $8K plus $2K, but in return, I got back all $42K. So what am I at? Like $81,000 now? Take a picture of this. This is deal number 2. I'm now at 4 units, okay? I bought the property at such a discount, when I got it reappraised in 6 months, the value was there. I bought a great deal. Remember, you make your money in the buy. So if you buy it at a discount, as is, plus you increase rents, plus you make the property nicer, you then forced additional appreciation. So you made the money in the buy, plus you forced additional appreciation, you get all that equity out, and you can get it roughly in 6 to 12 months. You can go and get it back out. That is what the rules are normally for a Fannie Mae Freddie Mac loan. Deal 3, how I got into big boy status. I bought a 7 unit. So 7 plus 4, I had 11 total units at this point. I did not have the tax returns to justify this deal. You have to have 2 years of property management. I didn't have 2 years yet at that point because this was only 6 months later. I didn't have the $100,000 down payment she asked. I basically couldn't qualify for this property on any way possible. This is why the bonus section of the mentality of an investor is important, because you must have faith. I was offered this deal that said, hey, why don't you go check it out? I was like, there's no way I can qualify for this deal. I would go to that property, park across the street, and I would look at it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a great area. I want to buy here. I want this property. I literally prayed. I was like, God, I don't know how to do this deal, but I know you can do anything. And for you, this is easy. And then God gave me a vision. This property was 7 units. The woman said she would give me the loan if I came up with $100,000. I didn't have $100,000. I couldn't scrounge it up. I had some of the money I showed you there. I started investing it in stocks. I only had about 40-something thousand left. She said $100,000 down, she'll give me the loan for the rest. I couldn't convince anybody else to do it. No one could see the vision. That's why when people do not believe in what you're doing, don't listen to them. Only you need to believe in yourself, and you have faith that God will help you. Because if you get up, I will get up with you. I would go and I would look, and I kept on trying, and it dawned on me. This is a 5-unit property. This is a 2-unit property. I can't qualify for this 7-unit property. I can't even qualify for this 5-unit property. But what I can qualify for is this duplex. And you know what, Nanette? You asked for $100,000, and I'm gonna do you one better. How about I give you $140,000? I didn't say where the $100,000 was coming from or the 140. You never said where the money needed to come from either. So I came up with $28,000 down payment on this $140,000 purchase, and the bank Well's Fargo, piece of shit company, came up with the rest of the money. Where Nanette then funded me my $195,000 on this property. I fucking made it. Thank God. God definitely helped me with this. Let's see what's next. For the 2-unit property, it's about $500 in rent each side. It's about $1,000 total, minus standard expenses. What I did is I did a little bit of painting, some tiling, some whatever. So I spent roughly about $2,000, maybe $4,000. Not much money. Put it on my credit card, had a $20,000 credit card. It didn't make much difference to my credit score. And I increased the rents to about $1,300 again. I went back to the bank and they gave me $40,000 back. This is what it cost me to buy the property with the down payment and the closing cost. I have no money in this deal and I walked away with $8,000. If you do not have your credit right, it won't work. If you don't have your tax returns right, it will not work. If you don't have the right cash, it won't work. And if you don't have the right tax return with showing your ability to repay, it won't work. If you lie on your taxes and don't show the right rent, it won't work. And if you don't properly deduct your expenses, it won't work. It will work if you work. Follow the information and you will be able to do this. Again, this took me 2 to 3 years to get this done. It took me 5 years to prepare my financials to be able to hammer through this to get to 23 units by the age of 23 when I started with 0 units at 19. Took me 4 to 5 years to gain to 23 units. Took me 5 years to get ready. So yeah, it took me 4 years to do this. It took me 5 years to prepare my financials because I had to go and travel to learn this stuff. You are learning it all here. Now, you must execute. You must not spend your money. You must get your credit right. You must focus and study. Those are the things I cannot make you do. I can give it to you. I can show it to you. It's time for you guys to drink. So drink up. You're going to gain some wisdom here. I increased all the rents here. I've increased the rents on all my properties again and again. So now I'm making $1,500 a month from my rentals to $2,000 a month from my rentals. And remember, I was only making, say, at this point, $12 an hour, which is $24,000 a year. This is the point I quit my job. What does Robert Kiyosaki say? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says, when you can replace your income, that is when you have financial freedom. He didn't say when you make $2 million a year. At this point, I made more money from my rentals or the same amount of money from my rentals than my job. So, 23 years old, you're technically retired. That's what people mean when they say, oh, I'm retired. I'm retired. This is the money coming in. I left my job and opened up my accounting firm. So now I'm bringing money in from my accounting firm, from my rental properties. My rents are increasing every year. Now it says 11 units. Let's move on to the next one. The next property was a fourplex, but it had an extra room that was technically not legal, but it was there. So I just left it there. Purchase price was about $165,000. Put down, I think I had to put down 25% for this deal because it was like weird. But anyway, I did it. $40,000. But we increased all the rents on this deal again. And we were able to increase the rent so much, I think we increased the rents about $1,000 a month. I was able to go back and get a second loan for $125,000. The property appraised $300,000 or something around 300, and I was able to get a loan for $125,000. Now I'm at 16 units, 4 deals. No partners. How much did I start with? $32,000. Where am I at? About $200,000 now. Now I'm using this money also to constantly reinvest in the properties to help increase the rents. My rule of thumb is if I can make 25% return on my money to invest in a property, I consistently do that. So I would upgrade the tile, the paint, the this, the windows, the that. Whatever got me 25% return. Very simple. Yet if I got 25% return on it, I'll do it. Should I paint the outside of the property? Okay, what is it? $2,000 divided by 12, divided by 4. Is it doable? Yes. Then do it. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. Remember that. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. That's all you need to worry about. After this, I bought a duplex in the south side of St. Pete for $28,000 cash for that property. I didn't even get a loan on it. I was just bringing in $1,000 a month. My expenses were like $150 on it. I was pocketing $850. I was happy. I didn't even take a loan on this one because I had so much money I didn't even need to. I then bought another duplex in the south side. This was a concrete block building, cost me $72,000. This one, I bought it from a hard money guy, paid 10% interest on it, was bringing in roughly $1,100 on this. Then I bought a triplex in the south side for $80,000. And that one was for 3 units. When it was done, it was bringing in around $1,500 plus. The issue is I had a 10% loan here and a 15% loan here. So now this brought me 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 units by deal 7. This is what happened at this point. The deals I was starting to buy in the south side because the deals became less and less profitable. We're talking about 2007, 2008. The market already tanked. This was 180,000. I bought it for 80,000, right? I'm teaching you many lessons within this whole thing. So I'd start buying on the south side to make it profitable, worthwhile. I was going to do value add, which I did the value add. I spent a lot of my cash to build these properties up. And when I was done, I would have been able to refinance them for like 250,000, extract a whole bunch of money. I would have been able to refi. At that time, a good interest rate for a commercial investment property is about 6 to 8%. If I did that, my profitability would change. At 10 to 15%, I'm just breaking even. I'm not even keeping anything for myself. And then this one had no loan on it. Well, as you know, in 08, it didn't just go down a little bit, like what's happening right now with the coronavirus. It then went down a lot. This $80,000 property went to $28,000. That's what they're selling the triplexes for in the south side. I couldn't take any equity out of this thing. There was really nothing there. No one really does loans on these type of deals for less than $50,000. And if they are, they're going to charge me another 10, 15%. And at that point, I'm not going to be profitable again if I'm taking out additional money. I needed the cash flow. So that's why I'm also saying be careful now, because I think we're going to have another 08 in our hands. After the election, we're going to see that the market's going to go down and we're going to end up paying for it. If anyone's watching this in the future, right now it's 2020, the coronavirus happened, the riots happened, this is where we're at, and I'm predicting that the market's going to tank hard afterwards. This is how I got to 23 units at the age of 23 by deal 7. This is what I did. Now this plan would have worked fine, and it did work. I did end up selling this property, making a ton of money here. I made really good money here. I broke even on this one because it was just such a headache. I was just like, let me just break even, sell it for basically what I bought it for, and I'm out. So in this situation, as you can see, I've never lost money on a deal, even though I went through 08. Worst case scenario, broke even. So guys, this is why everything in your foundations of finance is important, so you can accomplish this with no issues. All right?